Thank you very much for that.
Can I just point out?
Well, I think what we'll do, because there are a lot of people who want to make.
I just want to make sure that we're clear about the purpose of the debate.
I don't mind if there's a question, a direct question, that you answer the question. But if it's a speech like that or a contribution, it'd be best if you replied to it in the 5-minute summing up that you've got, unless there's a point of fact or information.
Well, it's a point of clarification about the purpose of the debate, so that we are very clear. Because the purpose of the debate is not to discuss whether open and free content is a good idea or not. It is to discuss whether or not institutions are willing to freely and openly share content, and whether or not that will improve the quality of education. That is the key question. So when you say institutions will be forced to share content, you are agreeing with us, which means I don't understand why you're supporting the institutions that are seeking to pretend that by sharing intellectual capital, what they are doing is opening their practices, when in fact they are doing the reverse. So I just want to make sure we stay focused on the topic of the debate, which is not whether open content is good or bad. It's whether or not the OER movement is flawed.
Okay, that's partly a clarification and partly an opinion. But let's have another point there.
Thank you, gentlemen. They said the best things in life are free, isn't it? God's love is. The internet has shown us that lots of things that we place high values on are actually supposed to be free. Hotmail is free, isn't it? Gmail is free. Yahoo is free. eBay is free. But the truth is that if we do not share some of these things freely and openly, we'll lose them. Let me take you one step back. Our traditional medicine institution in Africa have lost completely, almost completely everything, because our parents and our parents' parents refused to share it with us. But today, we're asking that this content should be free. I want to beg the two sides. Nothing is really free. Somebody is going to pay for it. That's what Bakari told us. But please, for goodness sake, let it be openly put to use. Thank you.
Yes, my friend from Cameroon.
Okay, much thanks. Excuse me, I'm going to express myself in French, and I hope there will be translation in order for me to be fluent. Okay, I'm Gaston Donabapa. I'm quite a little bit against what is free. Why? In our tradition today, I'm a chief. We have so many things to transmit and to transfer to the next generation. And so, if everything is free today in the village, people which have knowledges, they will not transfer the knowledge, because they fear that by opening it, we have so many people which have bad ideas and which are going to use it for bad things, because there are very powerful things inside the tradition that we must protect it. So, let me continue in French now. Bon. Alors, même quand on dit que le contenu est ouvert et qu'il est libre, je ne crois pas qu'il soit libre. Est-ce que quelqu'un...
Un moment, s'il vous plaît. S'il vous plaît. Le problème est que nous n'avons pas de traduction.
Oh.
Personne n'a de traduction. Ils ne comprennent pas.
All right.
Malheureusement, je regrette. Mais il faut continuer en anglais.
Yes, thank you.
Je regrette.
Thank you. Okay. Today, for anybody in the world to access on internet, somebody here who can tell me he can access internet without providing a password? Who? Nobody. That means it's not free. I can say, the superficial content. The deep studies, researches which are made, are you sure that the universities make it be available to everybody? No, I think. If it was so, I heard about a problem which came in France with Peugeot or something like that. They said some people stole documents and researches and send it to other people. So why? I even say if everything is free, that means we can also ask NASA and all these people which are making resources in universities to open the entire technology so that everybody can use it. So I'm a little bit against everything which is free. So because there are some key things, password and so on, we are not free. That means nothing is free. Thank you.
Thank you for that, and congratulations on continuing through all the obstacles, both the language and the light. Yes, down at the front there.
Yeah, thank you. Now, I want to believe that not everything should be free. Because if everything is free, people will not appreciate it. Now, what we can now say is that when we are talking about open educational, resources, now what are the resources that we want to be open? What are the resources that we want to be free? Okay, and then what is the use of those free resources? So if the resources are there for enlightenment, okay, to improve the lifestyle of people, right, we can make to some extent to be free. But where people now need to make money from it, okay, they should be able to pay something for that. Like in our own culture, we have that something that you don't work for does not last, because the person will not be able to appreciate it. So if a programmer should sit down and spend hours in writing a program, we should not just build that one day, just make it free like that. But some aspects be free and some not free.
Okay, anybody else?
Just a quick comment. If you don't buy the product, you are the product.
Hello. First of all, I'd like to just say, for all institutions, books are available for everyone. You can buy the books. So my idea is that universities, each one should develop its own capacity, not to wait for another university to develop whilst they sit on their lazy, whilst they sit down, wait for someone to develop. The universities should move around and developing capacities, because whilst you wait for someone to develop, how are you going to develop as a professional? You need to develop your own capacity as a teacher to use the books that are available, and then be able to move on to produce content that is relevant for your students, not necessarily just to provide content. Not necessarily that everyone should get content when and whenever they wish. A person should work to develop content so that they remain relevant.
Okay, at the back, down there.
Thank you very much. With all due respect, Larry, I think OER is the right way to go, but I think we're in the wrong world for it right at the moment, because I know that once we get this OER, and my DVC, Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic, hears about it, he's going to fire my ass, along with half the other lecturers on campus, because he's going to say, hey, you guys, use that course on that was been put up by somebody from Harvard. We'll all be fired. We'll be replaced by what do you call that? Coordinators, low paid, right? We'll be unemployed. And the other half of it is, look, the fear that I have and where you will get resistance from universities is, does this mean that content becomes produced in single places, standardized, so those 10,000 people teaching biology, is that a bad thing? There are 10,000 people playing Mozart every day. Is that a bad thing? Should they stop playing and only listen to the New York Philharmonic be playing Mozart? You see, my problem there is that it's an issue of academic freedom and creativity. Academia, education, it's about creativity. Now, could this backfire because it's in the wrong hands? We have a system that's going to fire us, replace us with coordinators, and you've lost your whole creative part of what education should be about. It's the wrong solution for a real problem. With all due respect, Larry.
Can I clarify that? very quickly, at the University of California, one professor did tell me that, in fact, some of the lectures he's seen on OCW sites are better than his. He says, what will I do? I go, that's a good question. Maybe what you shouldn't be doing is just presenting. Don't be a paid presenter. Work with your students. Break them down into groups. Give them applications that they can do and use the time in the classroom better.
Another point at the back there, in the blue shirt, in the middle. No, at the back there. You've had one already, so if we've time, I'll let you come in again, but let other people go first. And we've got about another 5 minutes before we have the summing up.
In our in participatory development of our curriculum, and I think the power of the haves of people who have the curriculum to everyone else. The power is a participatory culture, a mix and remix culture of taking someone's content and then improving it over and over and over again. If you see, great, it's not about we're going to all follow Harvard's lead. What we're going to do is take that, we really like that, but we don't like this, this, and this. Let's improve on that and then put it back out there. If many institutions do that, that curriculum becomes far superior than any one institution can create.
Actually, the movement is not flawed, it's right. And I'll tell you why. Man has been inventing things since man started inventing things, right back to the Stone Age. And when the OEU was invented, what I'm trying to say is, those institutions who are not willing to take part are the Luddites. Those are the ones who are flawed, not the motion.
Thank you. Just behind you there, this gentleman there.
I'm a bit disappointed with the professor. He spent all the years referring to others' material, and he got his professorship. Today he wants to lock up his books so that he doesn't share them with others.
Like to support this based on the fact that the movement itself, that people would like to improve others' resources so that it becomes superior, is not what is debatable. What is debatable is the fact that the education institutions are really not willing to share those resources openly and freely. You have to pay for those resources. Why? Because that is the reason for the existence, for the identity of those educational institutions. That is why Harvard University is different. That is why Manchester University is different. That is why Makerere University is different. They are not very willing, openly willing to share those resources. I would like to find out whether from AVU, people like me who would be interested in taking those courses do not have to pay anything to access your, how many, 200 and something courses? Don't I have to pay something? Are you therefore willing to share those resources freely and openly? Free in the sense of being free. Thank you.
Okay. Well, what I want to say here is that when we say free, it doesn't mean that there is no cost related to developing the courses. When we say free, is that we make it available online, and accessing it is free for everyone who wants to do so. You don't have to pay for it. However, if, for instance, you want to use it within your own classroom in a different university, that university has to have policy and agree to that. Once that is done, and I'm just concluding on this, they can use it in their curricula and charge you. That is legal. But what we are saying is downloading and using that material from our website is free of charge. I just wanted to make that clarification. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, over there, the gentleman standing up there, yeah.
Thank you, Chairman. I would just like to support the motion that educational institutions are not willing to share freely and openly the information. We don't have to go far for evidence. If you look at publications, journals, they are almost all of them, they are not free. They publish, the institutions, the research institutions, they're supposed to, they do research for us, but the information they produce, they don't want it to be available free. Publication is almost now, it's paperless. The information is there on the internet, but for us here in the developing world, you have to wait for 6 months before you can get it free. The others, of course, they pay for it. So the motion goes, they are not willing to share the information freely and openly.
We are running out of time, so I'm going to try to take the remaining contributions, but can I ask you to keep them as short as you can? Yes, just down here. More.
Yeah, thank you. I think that, when it comes to this subject, we are focusing, I think, too much on this word of, on this word free. Nothing is free. And when it comes to production within universities, I think that production is a process. And university professors, they can't assume that they are the only one involved in this process. Students are also very well involved in the production process. They don't take the incentives coming out from this process of production. Most of these professors, they are supervising doctoral students. They are the one going on the field, collecting information, bringing the resources, and they are the one selling books and collecting the money. And now they come back and say, you have to pay for it. They have already paid their share. And when it comes in general to Africa, I think Africa has paid already its share. Most of the research are being conducted in this continent free. They come, they go to villages, they interview people, they collect any kind of information free. They go back and they don't want people to, they don't want to share it with those people who has contributed to produce that information. So I think that we have paid our share and we deserve to get our part of the deal.
Okay, thank you for that. More? Yes, just on the left there. Just there.
I'm supporting the motion that institutions are not willing to share information. And I think let us agree on one thing. It is one thing to access content or resources, and it's another thing to be educated. You can access content, but you don't get educated. And I think the other thing is this culture of duplication. You access resources, you run with them, duplicate them wherever you go, you don't have success. Because the context in which the resources were developed is different from the context in which you want to use that resource. It is a good thing that we learn to develop resources within our context where we are working. Not just picking resources from elsewhere and we run with them, own them up, and try to use them to solve problems. What I'm saying is free things kill value, free things kill quality, free things kill motivation. Let us try to make an effort to create resources and then we own them. And lastly, I wanted to say, when we talk of sharing resources, whom are we sharing with? The audience and purpose determines what you share. You don't just share everything with everyone. If it is for the sake of the common public, we know what fits them. And of course, if it's for the academicians, we know what fits the academician. So let us answer these questions. Whom are we sharing resources with? And why are we sharing the resources with them? Otherwise, we can't just say, put everything open, put everything free, it will not answer the purpose or the questions or the logic behind it. We must decide what is this we are sharing. Otherwise, I support the motion. We must support systems to create resources which answer questions within the context they operate.
We haven't got time. Let's have another quick point there, but it must be a quick one.
I'll be very quick. I actually use open educational resources, and I do think that they are great. But there's a difference between free and free. And those who are French here will understand the difference between gratuit et libre. That's a big difference. In the open software community, we talk about free as in beer and free as in software. Because sometimes people give something free as in freeware, but it's not actually free. I mean, there are people that are peddling drugs that give out, free samples to people to get them hooked. And I think there's a lot of corporate, pushing of free things, quote unquote. And actually, that's not solving the problem ultimately, because if something is free, it may not be actually the right solution institutionally, as Neil was pointing out. I think it's really important to distinguish between gratuit et libre.